Even after all of the research that my wife and I did before moving to Salem, Oregon, we still had one nagging question, and that was, does living in Salem, Oregon feel too small? After all, we were moving from Los Angeles, California, one of the largest cities in the country, and many people who move to Salem, Oregon are coming from big cities themselves. So the question is it going to feel too small? And that was only answered after we had been living here for a few years, and that's why I am doing this video, to give you a better idea of whether you're going to be able to handle the size of Salem, Oregon. Salem, Oregon is the capital of Oregon. We've got multiple universities. We're surrounded by wine country, large suburban parks, state fairgrounds, plenty of nature. But does it have enough going on for people who are used to a little bit more action? In this video, we're going to be diving into the question I hear a lot and that we personally experienced, especially from people moving from big cities. Does living in Salem feel too small? So let's break it down to see if Salem, Oregon is a hidden gem meant for you, or if you're going to be climbing the walls to get out of the city within the first few months of living here. I'm going to talk about who feels Salem is just right, and if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you my personal experience, my family's experience of how we felt and how we dealt with the big size change moving from a big city to a smaller city like Salem, Oregon. Now, how big is Salem, Oregon really? First, let's talk about population. We have about 180,000 people that live in the city of Salem, making it the third largest city in all of Oregon. Now, keep in mind, there's only about 4 million people that live in the state. Now, I say only because the city I came from, Los Angeles, had 4 million people just in the city itself. Now, geographically, we're about 48 square miles, and it only takes about 30 minutes to drive from one side of the city to the other. Now, it's not like a metro area at all, like Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, LA, or any other big city, but it definitely is not rural either. We've got multiple shopping districts, public transportation, the chariots, it's buses, growing downtown with restaurants and boutiques and events, and plenty of different types of neighborhoods meeting the needs of anyone that wants to live in Salem, Oregon. Now, you won't find any skyscrapers, subways, or a skyline full of cranes, which is a good thing in my opinion. It's not that kind of place. But the city is certainly big enough to have all of your amenities that you're going to need to live your day-to-day lifestyle. You're not going to have to go out of town or out of the city limits to go grocery shopping or find entertainment. Now, as I mentioned, it's only 48 square miles and takes about 30 minutes to get from one end of the city to the other. That may feel confining, especially if you're coming from a large city like we did, where we're used to it taking forever to get from one side of the city to the other, hours, you're in traffic, we got to take freeways and highways sometimes, or there's multiple major streets and inner thoroughfares that you're taking to get through the city. It's just not like that here. You've got a couple of main roads that go north and south, and Commercial Street and Liberty. Depending if you're going downtown, you've got State Center and Court Street, and if you're further south, you got Kubler and some other streets. But really, Salem acts like a small town, even though it's a mid-sized city, and it may actually take some time getting used to that feeling of navigating a smaller city when being so used to a large city. If you're someone that constantly likes variety or going different paths, then Salem may not be the great fit for you just geographically, because you're pretty much taking the same roads over and over again, passing the same things over and over again to get to your destinations. For us, though, to me, it was actually quite a pleasant surprise on how much I actually enjoy that, not having to deal with battling the big city congestion and the traffic and trying to figure out special roads to take just to avoid the traffic. I'm not really dealing with that when living in Salem, Oregon. So that's kind of the benefit of the size of Salem, just speaking about the size, on how quickly you can get through the city and to your destinations of wherever you want to go throughout the city. Now, as a reminder, I am Dave Fine with the Real Estate Dads, a local real estate agent with eXp Realty. And as I mentioned, my family and I, just like you, made the move, relocated to Salem, Oregon. So I have that firsthand experience and that understanding of what you may be feeling and what some of the questions you may have. My team and I love helping people move to and relocate to the city of Salem and the surrounding areas. So if you're thinking about doing that, hit us up at the contact information below, popping up on the screen, and I'd love to help you with your real estate needs. All right, now let's talk about who may feel Salem, Oregon is too small. And if you have any questions or comments, make sure you're popping them up in the comments below. Also, hit the like button to get this video out to more people like yourselves who are researching moving to Salem, Oregon. Now, I thought I may be one of those people that thinks Salem, Oregon is too small. I never thought that I'd be moving to a smaller city from Los Angeles. Never thought I'd be leaving Los Angeles, but I got tired of that big city life and realized that I am someone that actually enjoys the smaller city life, but it's not for everybody. If you're someone who needs high energy and endless options, Salem can feel a bit limiting. If you're coming from Seattle or Portland, even Los Angeles like myself or other big cities, you may notice a few things that are missing. The nightlife here is pretty low key. Now, if I was younger, maybe in my 20s, I don't know if this would be the right fit for me, but being a little bit older with young kids, I've slowed down a little bit. I'm not necessarily missing that, but I know people actually really do thrive in that nightlife atmosphere. Places just don't stay open that late here. I mean, 9, 10 o'clock is kind of the hours that things close, even on the weekends, and even some days or during the week, places are closed in general. You're not going to find large concert venues. You're not going to find huge art galleries or big cultural museums. We don't have any professional sports teams here. You've got to go into Portland for that. And while we do have a convention center, it is on the smaller side. So any big national venues that travel through the country don't necessarily stop in Salem. The other thing that may make it feel too small is the dining experience. Now, while it is improving here, especially in the downtown area, it's certainly not going to be comparable to places like Portland, Seattle, and other big cities that you may be moving from. Now, we do have different options here, different cuisines. It's not just all one type, but your options are a bit limited, and you may feel like you're going to the same restaurants over and over again. Now, I will say, coming from LA with a massive food scene, that we ended up finding restaurants that we really like, and we still went to them over and over again. Yeah, we like to explore and find new places, but the reality is sometimes there's an illusion of options, but you end up going to your favorite places anyway. I will also say that the menus in Salem, Oregon have a seasonality to it. We have seasonal menus, a lot of farm to table menus, because we are surrounded by farmland and the wine country, that a lot of chefs get creative with the type of produce that is being grown during that season. So that's kind of a fun little thing that's happening in Salem. The other complaints or things that I hear why Salem is lacking or may feel too small is people that have this very career-driven mentality. So if your careers are in the tech industry, entertainment, media, or finance, the Salem job market just may not meet your expectations. Most of the city's economy is government, education, and healthcare, and there aren't many big private sector headquarters or startup scenes that are going on here in Salem. Now, if you are someone in those industries where we may be lacking, a lot of people do remote working, especially nowadays, so you get to live in a smaller town and still have that career that you want. Or there are some people that actually commute into Portland a couple times a week. It's not something that I would personally recommend if you got to do it 5 days a week, but maybe a couple times a week, not so bad. But there is that option. And we may lack a little bit more networking that you would find in a big city. So if you're someone that needs to just be surrounded by career colleagues and wanting a large network to grow your opportunities, that's a little bit lacking here. Now, we do have a Chamber of Commerce here that is growing, and more people are moving to Salem, Oregon from different parts of the country, bringing more different types of careers and jobs here. However, it's still just not quite what you would find in Portland or other big cities. So if that's something that you need right away, you may feel like the city is too small. As I mentioned, you stay to the end of the video, and I'm going to give you my experience, my true opinions on how we felt when we first moved here and how we felt now regarding the size of the city and what the lifestyle is like. If you're looking for more simplicity or to simplify your lifestyle, but still have all the essentials you need, then Salem might be the right fit for you. There's plenty of people like myself who have kids that just didn't want to raise their kids in the big city life, or people that just themselves don't want to be in the congestion, don't want to be in traffic, don't want to have smog around them, don't want to have those tall skyscrapers everywhere they go, or just a sea of concrete of retail shopping and outlets everywhere. That's just not what you're going to find here in Salem, and that's what a lot of people love about living in Salem, Oregon. In fact, I think the tallest building downtown is about 9 stories high, and there's only one of them. Most of them are around 3 to 4 stories high, and that's it. And then all the areas outside of Salem, you still don't have these high-rise buildings or these massive commercial zones. There's a lot of nature surrounded by Salem. We even have 3 massive park systems in the city itself: Bush Pasture Park, Minto Brown Island Park, and Riverfront Park, right there in the heart of the city, and many more park spaces. So if you're someone that loves nature or just a super easy commute to some local hiking trails, Salem is going to be the right fit for you. A lot of my clients have taken advantage of remote working. They're moving from big cities or cities they just don't want to be in anymore, and they move to Salem, still able to keep their job and their career and enjoy the slower paced life. As I previously mentioned in the video, we don't have these large venue concerts or sporting events or large venue anything here in Salem, but we do have plenty of events throughout the city and throughout the year that occur where they're actually enjoyable to go to. You're not fighting traffic, you're not fighting parking, you're not shoulder to shoulder walking through the venue because it's so congested and crowded. You actually get to enjoy the event, all the activities at the event because it's not overly crowded. That's the beauty about going to community events and private events that happen throughout the city. And that theme carries on when you go hiking or some of the walking paths. They're just not overly crowded, so you can actually enjoy the peace and quiet of what nature intended. And I mentioned that the restaurant experience may feel a little lacking if you're coming from a big city, but the flip side of that is that you're not fighting for reservations. You don't need to book a week in advance. You can just book that day or don't even need a reservation and know that you're going to be able to sit at your favorite restaurant here in Salem. So there are a lot of benefits when living in a smaller town just with a less population. And if you want more of a buzz or the big city vibe, well, Portland's only an hour away. We take advantage of that every so often. We certainly don't go too often because we, again, don't want to be in that lifestyle. But, a nice little day trip or a date night, easy to get to, easy to come back. So you can enjoy what Portland has to offer, but still come back to your quieter, slower paced life here in Salem. At the end of the day, how Salem feels really comes down to mindset. Salem isn't trying to be hip or cutting edge. It's steady, it's more grounded, it's manageable. You're not dealing with traffic jams or crazy housing prices. You're not overwhelmed with the noise and the pace of a big city. If you're a person that needs to try a new restaurant every time you go out or thrives on that urban intensity, well, then Salem's going to probably feel a bit too small for you. But if you're someone that just wants that slower paced life, a little bit quieter, with access to still all the amenities that you can want or need, then Salem actually might be the right fit for you. Especially if you're craving balance, simplicity, a space to breathe, it might be exactly what you've been looking for. And so, does Salem feel too small? Well, absolutely for some people. But for others, that small feeling is actually what makes it feel more like home. And if you made it this far, now you get to hear my personal experience and how I feel about our move after having lived in Salem for about 3 years now. I had some major concerns before moving to Salem. Now, I haven't lived anywhere outside of a big city. My whole life was in Los Angeles. I was used to that vibe. I was used to that buzz. I was used to that hustle. I was used to having so many different entertainment options and just having a lot of people around me. There was a comfort level in that. And that's mainly because I just wasn't used to smaller town feel. I've traveled a ton. I've visited to many smaller cities, of course, and I enjoyed them, but I never thought it was going to be like a lifestyle for me. Then my lifestyle changed. My needs changed. I ended up having a family with 2 small kids, and my priorities changed. That was the biggest factor for me deciding to move out of a big city. We just were so tired of the congestion. We were tired of that pace of life. We were tired of that whole keeping up with the Joneses thing. I was tired of it taking an hour to go like 14 miles stuck in traffic. No matter how much I tried to sugarcoat it and how much I was used to it because I grew up in it, I just was missing that much more time with my family, missing more time of me time and my quiet time, stuck in that traffic trying to go places. I was tired of fighting the crowds everywhere I went. I didn't like to book reservations weeks in advance to go to a restaurant that I enjoyed. I was tired of the grittiness and the griminess of what the big city had to offer. But there was still a lingering question of whether or not I was going to be being able to handle the lifestyle of a small city. Now, I will admit when I first moved here, it was a little overwhelming in the sense that I felt like there wasn't going to be enough to do, or wasn't going to be enough to do for my kids. And there wasn't going to be enough options for entertainment and dining. And what was I going to do on the weekends in such a small town? I certainly didn't want to go into Portland every single weekend, because if I was going to do that type of commute, I might as well live in Portland or at least a lot closer to it. But as the months passed, and especially after the first year, I really embraced the slower pace of life. And it was exactly what I needed. It was exactly what my family needed. And I didn't even realize it until I was enjoying it personally. I felt like I can breathe more. I felt like I can relax more. I felt like I wasn't so tense anymore, and my stress kind of just more melted away. I felt like I can be a little bit more like myself, just chill, more relaxed. And that is exactly what I needed, my wife needed, and we're just so happy that we're raising our kids in this smaller town feel, where we just feel like we can expand out into nature as we go exploring out in the countryside all the time. And there are still plenty of things to do on the weekend that I was so worried that we'd be lacking. We're constantly out and about exploring the community, going to all the fun events that we have here in Salem. In fact, we really embrace the agriculture around here. We love going to the farms, picking our own fruit, going to all of the events that the farm hosts throughout the year. We find the people here friendlier than in big cities because they are not so stressed out. They're taking the time to enjoy their slower paced life. So I feel like people are a little bit more friendlier here than I've experienced in large cities. So in the end, my family and I are really happy we made that move. Salem is the right place for us. Now, it may not be the right place for you after you've gone through this video and maybe seen some of my other videos, realizing it may be too small, may not offer enough, whether in your lifestyle or career-wise. But for us, it was just the right fit for what we've been looking for, and we are glad to call Salem our home. As I mentioned, I'm Dave Fine with the Real Estate Dads at eXp Realty. My team and I love helping people move to and relocate to Salem, Oregon. So hit us up at the contact information popping up or in the description. We'll love to help you with your real estate needs. Comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Hit the subscribe button to see more of my videos and the like button to get this video out to more people like yourselves who are thinking about moving to Salem, Oregon.